Hi, my name is Mychal, but my family calls me Myka, and I am 12 years old. I want to share with you an amazing thing that has been happening to my family lately. I tried telling my friends about it, but they didn't really understand, so I thought I would share this story with all of you. First, I want to tell you a little bit about me and my family. I live on a small farm in an area they call the Decapolis. I never asked why it's called that, but there's a lot of people who live there, all kinds. Our farm is small, but there's lots of sheep and goats, which I help take care of with my little sister Miriam, but I like to call her Mimi. My abba and Ima are named Ruth and Boaz. Yes, just like the stories of Ruth and Boaz that they talk about in the synagogue. My abba likes to say that their marriage was just like the real Ruth and Boaz, as in, when my Ima met my abba, she did not want to leave his side. My Ima does not like it when he says this. My family and I are Jews. I remember my Ima once saying that our families come from the line of Issachar and Naphtali, but I never understood what that meant. We don't really go to the synagogue anymore or do stuff that other Jewish families do. My Abba doesn't wear his tzitzit anymore or keep his talit, and I can't remember the last time we had a Shabbat meal. Mimi hasn't even been to Jerusalem. Abba and Ima don't take us to the festivals anymore. We used to do all these things when I was little, but that changed. Well, there was this thing with my brother Daniel, and he's not here anymore, and well, Abba and Ima don't like talking about it really, or even me talking about it to anyone either. Anyway, our life is pretty boring. We wake up, eat our breakfast, do our chores. Mimi and I help Abba with the shepherding and help Ima in the house. Abba takes the sheep to the market and sometimes lets us help him bring back food and supplies from town. Ima teaches kids in town sometimes, which is fun. If I'm lucky, I get to see my friends like Tosh and Lila and Hercule. We like to call him Harry. When we play, we like to go to the creek or explore caves, or lots of times, Harry tells us stories from his family. I like hearing stories of gods and adventures from Greece, but please don't tell my Abba. Harry knows lots of stories and even knows stories of us Jews. My favorite one is about the hero we call the Messiah, who will come and save everyone from the enemy. Even Harry likes that story too. Those times are the most fun. But really, all my friends are usually pretty busy at home, so most of the time it's just me and Mimi. We have dinner and then go to sleep and do it all over again. That's how our family life usually was until one day it all changed. I remember Abba and I were out in the field resting on our way back from the market. I remember it was a especially hot day and I don't like the heat. Then all of a sudden, there was a gathering of people, which got me curious. Abba wanted to move along, but I really wanted to see what was going on. Abba started to get mad at me until he saw it too. A man who couldn't walk so good all of a sudden was healed. He even ran off jumping and yelling. It was weird. But everyone started listening to the man who was talking. And then Abba did the weirdest thing. All he said was, "Myka, go and fetch your Ima and Mimi. Bring them here." So I ran and brought them back to where Abba and everyone was gathered, and we just sat and listened to that man, the teacher. We were in such a rush that Ima didn't get to bring any snacks for us. I don't think we really thought about how long we were going to be sitting in that field, but we just sat and listened. I didn't really understand what was happening, and Mimi kept on asking when we were going to go home. But all Abba kept on saying was, "Okay, one more, then we'll go. Let's just listen to one more." Before we knew it, it was nighttime, and everyone kind of just lay down where we all were. It was kind of like a really big slumber party. It was all sort of neat and different. Then it was daytime again. The teacher kept talking and Abba and Ima were still listening. And so Mimi and I were patient and listened too. I remember there was some story about birds in the sky, which I didn't really get, but it was kind of nice. Then another strange thing happened. Everyone started to realize they were hungry, and then the teacher said some words, and then all of a sudden he had food for everyone. It was delicious bread and fish, and Mimi doesn't even like fish that much, and she ate a lot of it. Everyone was done eating, there was still more left, many baskets full. From that day onward, things were different on the farm. It started slow with little changes, like Abba asking us to be quiet a moment before we would eat. Then he would ask us to just sit together when we'd wake up or lay out and look at the stars before bed. Time passed, and then eventually we started to have Shabbat dinner again. We took Mimi to the synagogue for the first time, and she thought it was fun though. I don't know why. Sometimes I would catch Abba sitting by himself in the field, holding his zitzit in his hands and just being there. He wouldn't wear his zitzit like other grown-ups do, but he just sort of rubbed them. He wouldn't talk to us about whatever he was thinking, but we could tell something was different inside of him. Sometimes Abba would ask us around the village for news about the teacher who fed us. We had some neighbors who left town to try to follow that teacher. They invited my parents to go with them, but Abba and Ima would always say they weren't ready for that, or there was too much work to do on the farm. This went on for a long time, until Ima said something I never thought I'd hear her say. "We're going down to Jerusalem for the feast." Road trip! Mimi was really excited because she never gets to go anywhere. I hadn't been to Jerusalem since I was really little, so going to the festivals was like I was seeing it for the first time. I thought the Decapolis had a lot of people, but I had never seen so many people in my life. The city was full. We walked all around the city, and Abba and Ima met with a lot of friends they hadn't seen in a long time. They also went looking for places for us to celebrate the Passover Seder. Abba said it was like going to be our first Passover in a really long time. We should try to make it extra special. Abba and Ima did find an inn that had a really nice upper room, but the owner said it was reserved for another group. So eventually, we decided to spend it with Uncle Jason and Aunt Deja. I thought things in the Holy City were busy and crazy enough, but then things got really hectic. When people started saying that the man from the field that day, the teacher, he was coming to the city for the feast also. He said his name was Jesus, and some people were saying that he was the Messiah, like the for real one from the stories Harry would tell Tosh and Lila and I. I wanted to see Jesus into the city myself, but Ima would not let me. Ima doesn't like crowds, which is hard to avoid when the city is so full. But she had Mimi and I stay back with her while Abba tried to get closer to him. When Jesus came into the city, everyone was going crazy. They were shouting Hosanna to the Son of David and waving palm branches and laying clothes in front of him. It was like a greeting fit for a king. When it came into the temple, Jesus started to do more teaching, and even Ima was willing to get through the crowds to hear him speak again. So she left me and my sister with Aunt Deja. That night, I overheard Abba and Ima bickering about what they saw that afternoon, or specifically what they heard. Ima said there was a sound like a voice from above, but she could not understand it. Abba just said she was imagining things. Everywhere you went in Jerusalem, everyone was so excited that Jesus was there, but some people were not, especially after what happened. Since we couldn't bring any of our goats with us from the Decapolis, I had to help Ima to buy some animals for offering for the Passover. I'm glad that we didn't have to bring anyone from our farm, because the sheep and goats are all my friends, and it would have been sad to sacrifice them. Anyway, I remember we were in the temple courtyard again in the line for the merchant when all of a sudden there was a lot of yelling and noise coming from across the court. It was Jesus, and he was freeing all the animals and making a lot of people upset. Emma got scared and made us leave right away. Even though I was not scared, I wanted to see what was going to happen next. Jesus seemed really mad at the teachers, which made a lot of the other teachers mad too. Abba did not believe it when Emma told him the story of Jesus in the temple, so he ran off to find out what happened next. I wanted to go with Abba too, but Emma made me stay with Mimi and Aunt Deja again, as she left to follow Abba. I don't know exactly what happened next, but that night, I heard my parents arguing again. I think Jesus came back to the temple after he freed the animals and was teaching again, but some people did not like what he was saying. Or I guess I should say some people really did like it, and other people really did not. And I guess that's what Abba and Emma were arguing about. What did Jesus mean when he said we should give our money to Caesar? Aren't the Romans our enemies? It sounded like Abba was upset or confused about it, and Emma was just trying to calm him down. So that leads our story to now. The Passover is still 2 days away, and so much has already happened while we have been here. It was exciting to see everyone be so happy when Jesus came into the city, but I don't know why he's being so different than before. When we heard him talking back home, he seemed really friendly and calm, but here in Jerusalem, he was really upset. I think Jesus was just trying to help people understand God better, but maybe he was getting mad that people were not listening to him so good. Sometimes I get really mad at Mimi when I try to tell her something and she doesn't listen to me. So I can understand if that's why Jesus was upset. I hope things can be better for him and for everyone. In all the times we did celebrate Passover, I never asked my parents why we do it. Like, I know the stories of Moses and God's Passover, but I guess I never really thought about why it's so important. This year, I finally asked Abba, and he said Passover is supposed to be a time when we celebrate God's goodness to our people. If that's the case, then I hope people listen better and things can be more peaceful, especially for Jesus. Then everyone can still have an extra special Passover feast, just like Abba wanted.